Hello and welcome. This video we're going to be taking a look at the Paladin class, and there's a very good reason for doing so, as it's just had a remaster in Star Trek Online. So I'll be looking at the usual Vanity shields available from the Dilithium store during certain events of the year, of course, and also the only one currently in the Zen store. As always, there's links in the description down below, plus all the chapters, one for each shield, so you can jump about and find the shield that you're most interested in. I've had this ship for a very long time, and I used to fly it on a fairly regular basis, so it's been nice doing this video's brought it back out of mothballs for me, if you like, and I've had some fun with it. Now, with regards to the remaster, apart from the fact that it looks fantastic, that is the remastered one that's on the screen just now, is they put in the Vanity nacelle option. So previously, the nacelles in this just had a fixed red dome, so similar to the likes of the Universe class, or even the Wani, the Sagan, the Connie 3, for example. So the ones that the Bizarre collectors wouldn't change colour with the shield. So they put that in. It's been a fantastic change. Hopefully they'll do that for more ships. Because I sometimes find that, for example, the Section 31 shield looks great on a ship, but then you've got this red dome for the Bizarre collector, you've got the yellow or the orange, instead of having them blacked out. So that was a very nice change. Now, the only one issue, and there is just one, for this particular model, is that it doesn't show the impulse engine effect. And by that I mean the colouring from the shield for the impulse engines. It uses the Bizarre collector effect as the impulse engines. So that's the only thing that I found wrong. It annoyed me quite a bit doing it, as these things normally do. But apart from that, it was a fun video to do. I hope you enjoy it. I will cover over the links in the video at the end, so stay tuned, and I shall catch you later. So first up is the Alliance Vanity Shield. So this is currently the only shield available in the Zen store, and it's part of the Mutara Alliance bundle that contains the shield, the Mutara Alliance uniform, and an upgrade. So for the shield itself, we have this white patterned hull material with some of this grey shading and the gold shading that we can see there. We have the lovely orange plasma effect there for the Bizarre collectors. Some cyan lighting there as well at the front and top of the saucer. Then we have the pattern cyan deflector. Unfortunately, we've got this fake painted glow effect coming through the Vanity shield, and that's the effect that the normal deflector of this ship creates. And we see there the cyan effect of the nacelles. You see the Bizarre collector effect does go back quite a bit. And then we've got the golden cyan there at the start of the pylons. And if I angle this into the light, you can see the triangular pattern within the hull material, and it does change hue as the light hits it. So as I've said before, that's the normal hull material of Alliance ships, and it's fantastic the art team managed to capture that nice little detail for the Vanity shield. Now, unfortunately, the impulse engines are the Bizarre collector effect. So it's not the red, orange, yellow, white effect of the impulse engines this shield normally has. So that's a bit disappointing, especially on one of my favourite shields coming up shortly. Again, there's that cyan circle at the top of the saucer. There's that gold and grey pattern there. On the underside, it's more of the patterned white and the grey. And then for the engine trails, it's the standard Federation ones, so the red and blue. So it doesn't marry up with the effect that the shield normally has anyway. Moving on to the Dilithium store now. So this is a safe Galaxy Refit Vanity Shield. We have the grey patterned hull material, so it's almost like an urban camouflage kind of effect. This nice yellow lighting effect here for the ship name and registry number. Some lighter yellow there at the front and top of the saucer. Then we've got the gold Bizarre collectors. Unfortunately, we've got this fake red lighting effect going on there that the Vanity Shield's not covering. Then we've got this yellow and white deflector array there with a little bit of a pattern to it. Again, that nice yellow lighting effect lining up with the shield, very nice. And with the lighter yellow there for the cell colouring. And we've got the Zhat collector colouring again with the baked on red glow effect, which isn't masked by the shield. So that's not too bad in this shield because the normal impulse engine's the same colour, so it does get away with it on this one. So look down, you can see the full extent of the pattern effect going down the centre of the ship and out to the nacelles, and a bit of a smoother pattern on the outer parts of the saucer there. Again, that painted on glow effect for the original deflector. And then the rest of it's just the hull pattern material from the shield. And then for the engine trails, they do marry up quite nicely with the lighter yellow and the darker yellow. So it's just very nice. Next up, we're looking at a very popular shield in the game. This is the Baul Vanity Shield. So with the black hull material that makes the red lines stand out really nicely. See that cyan colour here at the front. We've got white there on top of the saucer. We have the cyan there for the Bizarre collectors. The pattern cyan deflector there. And we also have the cyan there for the cell colouring itself, so that does flow in very nicely with this style. And this is the point I'm most disappointed about on this shield is I love the red impulse engines of this shield. And unfortunately, we don't get to see them on this ship. Essentially with the Bizarre collector effect there. If I hold here, we can see the etched pattern design there within the hull material as the light hits it. A better view as we swing around the top there. And again, you see more of it there on the underside. And again, that painted on glow effect. That's, from the looks of it, it's probably going to be in every Vanity Shield so far. So it might be on all the ones to come. Then engine trail wise, standard Starfleet ones. So if that blue had been slightly lighter, something in the cells, then it would have worked out very nicely. Next up, we are looking at the Borg Vanity Shield. So this gives you a vessel the look of a liberated Borg vessel. You have a grey hull material, and it's got a pattern effect made up of various shapes and sizes of hull plating. You see the blue illumination there at the front and top of the saucer. We have that blue fading into the grey there for the Bassard collectors. And the lovely patterned blue deflector there. Now with the blue in the nacelles. And again, this is one of the shields where the impulse engine and the Bassard collector was pretty much the same colour, so again it does get away a bit with it in this one. And then if we look here, we can see this conduit material effect with this illumination. Getting more of that patterned hull material there on the underside. And for the engine trails, there isn't any on this shield, so no visible engine trails at all. Time to put the sunglasses on or dull down the monitor. This is the Courier Raider Vanity Shield. It's one of the older ones in the game. It's not to be confused with the green Courier Raider Vanity Shield that came out in the recent Partners in Crime lockbox. So I have this bare metal effect for the hull material. Quite a bit of white lighting. You can see here, very bright Bassard collectors there as well. Then with the white patterned deflector array there. White for the nacelle, so again, that flowing Bassard collector into the nacelle works really well here. The impulse engines are normally white on this shield, so another one that this works on for this particular ship. And as you can see, as the light hits it, it is very bright. So definitely one to take into TFOs that have very limited lighting in the map. And then for the engine trails, we have that white flame effect, but then that's given way to that orange and then the blue there, so not marrying up at all to the engine effects of the shield. Next up is the Discovery Vanity Shield. So this shield has two different visual appearances depending on your faction alignment. So for Federation aligned, you get the appearance of Starfleet vessels in Season 1 of Discovery. So with this two-tone patterned grey hull material. So that's blue lighting at the front, and then this white with touches of blue lighting there on top of the saucer. We have the patterned blue there for the Bassard collectors. I've got this white with blue spoke effect there for the deflector. Got the blue there for the nacelles. And then the blue Bassard collector effect there instead of the red for the impulse engines. And the underside is just more of that two-tone patterned grey hull material. Then the engine trails for this one are white. So we had the Courier one, which was all white and had the red and blue engine trails. But the Discovery one, that normally has red impulse engines and blue nacelles, yet it's got white engine trails. Somebody might have got those two mixed up. Here we have the Discovery Vanity shield on a Klingon Alliance character. So we've got this brown patterned hull material. We have the red Bizarre collector there with this white pulsating line to it. We've got this nice orange, yellow and white patterned deflector array here. You see that kind of broken white line for the lights at the front of the saucer. Now the nacelle effects on this shield are a bit unusual. They're normally an elliptical with the orange, yellow and white repeated, but just with the style of nacelle here, we're starting off with the orange and then moving through the yellow and then down into the white there. Again, Bizarre collector there for the impulse engines, then with this green illumination here as well. And there you see the full extent of that pattern effect. And then this does actually look quite nice here. That white and red and then the brown there, so giving that nice sense of depth. The underside is just more of that brown patterned hull material. Then for the engine trail effects off of this shield, they are white, so the normal effects from the engines aren't a million miles away from that, so I would say that one works. Next up, we're looking at the Discovery Refit Vanity shield. So again, with a two-tone grey hull material, slightly darker than the original Discovery one. Got this bluish white lighting here at the front and on top of the saucer there. Very bright white Bizarre collectors. This nice blue patterned deflector array there. And this just very faint blue tint to the cell covering there. I surmise it's because the white Bizarre collectors underneath it that it is lightening it more than what it normally is. And with the white Bizarre collectors there rather than the red impulse engines. And so down you can see that pattern effect within the hull material, and there's even certain little bits of almost scarring, if you like, on the hull material as well. Then the same there on the underside. And for the engine trails, they do marry up with the normal effect that the shield has. So we've got the reddish orange there and the very light blue tint to the nacelles. Next up, it's the Emerald Train. Insert excessively unnecessary long name here. Vanity shield. So with this brown patterned hull material. Got some of this off-white lighting here at the front. I'll zoom in a bit. You see that it's got a smooth going round the outer part of the saucer, and the texture's contained within there. This area of the saucer is quite smart because you can see it's indented and the pattern does reflect that. Then again we've got the off-white again there for the Bizarre collectors. And that patterned off-white deflector there. Same there for the cells. And it is normally the same for the impulse engines. So again, it's another one where having the Bizarre collector effect isn't too bad on this particular ship. down. You see that full texture just falling along the centre and out to the cells. And then I said the smoothness round there on the saucer. The underside's more of the same. And then for the engine trails, very similar to that of the Discovery refit, so it doesn't marry up to the shield at all, unfortunately. Next up, it's the Emperor's Vanity shield. So we've got this grey hull material, and there's some touches of purple shading along there. Got the orange there for that inverted dome. Got the deep yellow there with some white for the Bassard collectors. The yellow lighting there at the front. Quite nice orange patterned deflector there. Then we have the lighter yellow there for the nacelle colouring. And then the Bassard collector effect again instead of the cyan impulse engines that this shield normally has. As we look at the underside, and I'll zoom right in here. We see this blue dot illumination. So it's mimicking the starfield. At the back of it almost. You know, like a poor man's cloaking device. Anything when there's light not shining on it. So that does go throughout the full hull material. See it down here on the pylons, bottom of the nacelles. It's the same on the top. As I say, just because the light's hitting it, we don't see it. So if I rotate the ship up into the light, there you go. All that nice blue dot illumination disappears. Then engine trail wise, the engine trails are correct for this shield. So we've got the yellow there on the cells and the cyan there for the impulse engines. It's just that we don't have the correct impulse engine effect on this particular model. Next up, it's the Ferengi Vanity shield. So we have the orange hull material, just like we see on the Ferengi vessels in the TV show. Got some gold shading there as well, touches of grey. Then we have the deep yellow Bassard collectors, some yellow lighting at the front here as well. We'll zoom right in on the hull. You can see this rivet detail. Then we have this patterned yellow deflector. And we've got a slightly lighter yellow there for the nacelles, but as I've commented before, the Bassard collector effect blends right down and the nacelle effect is over the top of it. Back to the Bassard collector effect instead of the impulse engine ones. Then with the light yellow there for the concave dome there. You see more of that rivet detail going on the pylons there. Same here on the underside, a lot more of that rivet detail. You can see all the grey lifeboats there as well. Then for the engine trails in this one, they are correct for this shield with the different shades of yellow there. That is quite nice. Here we have the Hur'q Vanity shield. So we've got this green hull material with this brown shading there. And I'm going to zoom in a bit closer here and you see this black shading giving a textured look at certain parts of the hull. Then we have the green for the Bassard collectors there. Some more green lighting there at the front. This lovely patterned green deflector array there. The nacelle colour is green, but it's the same colour as the Facade Collector, so it has blended in completely. Then we're seeing some of this green illuminated panel material here, just where the impulse engines are, with the Facade Collector effect on them. And you can also see that material there as we go along the pylons. With that green there. Again, more of that textured look with that black shading. Then on the underside, it's just more of the same, really. Now, for the engine trails of this shield, they are yellow, just like the Ferengi one, so I don't know why they're not green. The hull material itself is just the pattern grey. There's not really too much to say about it, to be honest. Then engine trail wise, it's the standard Federation ones. Now, had both those trails been a few shades lighter, it would have married up really well with the effect that this shield has. This is the Kelvin Divergence Vanity shield on a Klingon character. We've got a few different shades of green for the hull material. We have the yellow there for the Facade Collectors. I'm going to zoom in just on the front lights here, because that there is the nacelle effect there, so that blue and the grey honeycomb. Then we have this lovely red patterned deflector array there. And then we've just got the blue colouring there for the nacelle, so that's just due to the way that the nacelle is done on this ship. So it does work quite nice, and it stands out against the yellow there. Then we have the yellow Facade for the impulse engines there. And with this black honeycomb pattern there, again, that nice sense of depth. And then again, more of that various shades of green there on the underside. And for the engine trails is the Federation one. However, that would match up with the engine effect, and if that had been slightly lighter, it would have matched up better with the nacelle effect. So this is the Prodigy Vanity shield, and I was very curious as to how this would actually look on this ship. It's one of my more favourite shields at the moment. It's got absolutely nothing to do with the show, as I can't stand the show, but what I do like is the grey hull material. I think that looks really nice. So you can see there's a bit of a pattern to it as well. Then we've got this blue lighting here at the front. We've got the blue and white Facade collections there. Then we've got this very bright orange and white deflector. I won't zoom in too much in case I blind you. That's the only effect of this shield that I'm not a big fan of, is the deflector. Then we've got the blue there for the nacelle. You can just make it out with that blue and white Facade Collector effect at the back of it. And the Facade Collectors there for the impulse engines. Then you can make it a bit of depth with that effect. It still looks nice. But I think the Kelvin one was slightly better because you could make out the depth that's supposed to be there. See, I really do like the grey hull material off of this shield. And we've got more of the grey there on the underside. Say the engine trails do match up with the normal appearance of this shield. So we've got the colours there. It's just unfortunate that other shields that share similar colours don't have the correct engine trails on them. Now we come to another very popular shield in the game, and this is the Section 31 Vanity shield. So for the hull material, we've got a couple of different shades here, and if I zoom right in, you can see the pattern effect within the hull material. Now you can also see that stripe material pattern going along there. And then since we're zoomed in, you can see that depth effect again that we're getting here. Then we have the sword collectors, which are blacked out on this particular shield. I personally think if that hull material had just been a matte black, then that with the sword collectors would have worked really well. And with the cyan lighting there at the front, the pattern cyan deflector array, and with the cyan nacelle colouring there, and the impulse engines are blacked out because it's using the sword collector effect here. They're normally quite a nice bright red, which would work with that painted on glow effect there. And just more of the two-tone hull material on the underside. Then engine trail wise, it's not miles off. Again, if that light blue there had just been a bit darker or a bit brighter maybe, just to match in closer to that nacelle effect. But the impulse engine effect's correct there though. Now here we have the Shrike Vanity shield. So we've got this rusty orange hull material with this burgundy shading. These are quite bright, but we've got orange and white there for the sword collectors. You can see a similar darker orange and light orange effect going on the lighting here at the front. Then we have the same colouring there, and it is giving a sense of depth there quite nicely. Then, as I always say, what every starship needs, a target on the front. So we have the yellow and red target effect there for the deflector array. As we move around, so there's that orange and white sword collector effect, and then we have the orange there as the nacelle colour. Again, you can see the orange being a deep colour more so over here, just with the lighting on it. There we go, you see that sense of depth there, just as we rotate through it. This shield also has some touches of grey shading as well on it. Then the underside is probably more of that orange and burgundy shading there. The engine trails in this one are a bit unusual because we have yellow for the impulse and red for the cells. So it doesn't quite match up. So here we have the Tzenkethi Vanity shield, a busy shield as I always comment on. So we have the green, the grey and the black shading for the hull material with this carved pattern effect. And then we also have this panel lighting material. And we zoom right in so you can see it pulsating at certain points. Then we've got the white pattern there for the facade collectors. It's lovely orange deflector effect. See that panel lighting material going right round the rim of the saucer there. Then the nacelles are white, the facade collectors are white, and the engines are normally white on this shield anyway, so it does kind of get away with it. And a lot more of that pulsating panel lighting effect across the back of the pylons there. Got that orange dome there. And for the underside, as if I leave it in the shade at the moment, you can see the extent of that laminated panel material there. And then we have more of the green and grey shading there with that carved pattern in it. Then for the engine trail effects, they are white, and that does match up correctly with the engine effects being applied by the shield. So that's very nice to see. And last but certainly not least is the Zhat Vash Vanity Shield, or the Army Camo as I refer to it as these days, and that's purely because we've got the lovely sandy brown and the olive green hull material, and on quite a few ships it's kind of got the army camouflage pattern to it. And then we also have these green lights here at the front, got this green and white patterned facade collector there, and this lovely green patterned deflector array. Then the cells are green, but they are kind of obscured at the moment just with the brightness off of the facade collector effect there. Unfortunately, we don't have the lovely red impulse engine effect being applied here. Quite an interesting pattern there with that red and white, and that sense of depth to it. Underneath it's more of the two-tone hull material. And the engine trails for this one are unfortunately just the standard Federation ones. So all they had to do was change that engine trail to the green and it would have matched up perfectly. And that concludes the look at the Paladin. So as always, thank you all very much for watching. I do appreciate the views, the likes, comments, everything. And that is all very much appreciated. So as I alluded to at the beginning, obviously we had the impulse engine effect just being the bizarre one, not the correct impulse engine effect, but that was the only issue with this particular model. I thought they'd done a fantastic job with the remaster, especially putting those vanity nacelles on, which obviously prompted this video. So here's hoping to do more in the future. Now, onto the links that I mentioned earlier on. So I've got my Real Merch affiliate link there, which will give you 5% off your first order. I also have links there for the STO Wiki, The main Star Trek Online news blog is there as well, plus my X and Blue Sky. And then for other content, there's Casual Sap, there's Nick NB, MC Stu, the Mutara Alliance, and Thornburg are all listed there as well. If you haven't checked them out, please do so. Drop them a follow, drop them a like, drop them a sub. You know, it helps everybody out. And that is me for this video. So, thanks again for watching. Catch you in the next live stream or the next video. Take it easy.